Right now, the Jews of the world, half of them have returned. And the anti-Semitism that's happening right now in the past 40 years, and specifically since October 7th, is very different than the anti-Semitism that was before. Anti-Semitism normally has been Esav Seinel Yaakov. And when I hear people say that today it's Esav Seinel Yaakov, I disagree. This is not that anti-Semitism. This anti-Semitism is saying that the Jews do not belong in Eretz Yisrael. Where do we stand on this? Do we think the Jews belong in Eretz Yisrael today? Are we on the side of the Palestinian protesters who say that it's not our land? And if it is our land, then why aren't we there? So we don't have a responsibility to go? Well, perhaps Asher Ma'asu Ba'aretz. That's the reason why we got into this mess, was we didn't want to be here. We didn't want to have this connection. We didn't want to have the connection to something that's so beloved to Hashem that he hangs it over us and says, you do my will, you get it. You don't do my will, you don't get it. And that's the Nakuda that Hashem is looking for. Achdus, the unification of all Jews, every single tribe, the religious, the irreligious, the secular, the Satmar, the Neturei Karta, all parts of the Jews will come together in the land. You see, the land is the place where we could all become one. We could all unify. It is the fabric, it is the soil, it is kiratsu. We want the stones and we want the dirt. It's the place that could hold everybody. You see, Hashem said he's going to spread us on the four corners of the world. We're everywhere. Jews, there's not a country in the world, almost not a country, very few, maybe North Korea, very few countries in the world where there are no Jews. And all those Jews will come back and be united as one nation. And it needs to be from a philosophy of attraction, not promotion. So I'm not promoting Aliyah. I don't promote Aliyah. At least I'll try not to do so obviously. What I will do is I will show you what Eretz Yisrael is. And if we truly understand the question of what Eretz Yisrael is, this question that every Islamic fundamentalist and every Christian Zionist knows the answer to this question. They know what Eretz Yisrael is to the Jews. And they can't understand for the life of us why we are not here. And when they riot in New York and when they riot at universities, what they are saying is, it's either your land or it's not your land. And we have to make a decision. If it's our land, then do we want to come? So what is Eretz Yisrael? What are we trying to appreciate? What does God say it is so beloved to me? Let my beloved people come to my beloved land. What is so special about this land? You see, every other land has physical pleasure. Eretz Yisrael is not about physical pleasure. It's about spiritual growth. And our body loves physical pleasure. And therefore, God said, I'm not going to require every person to have an obligation to come. I want you to decide, do you want physical pleasure or do you want to come to Eretz Yisrael where you could have, in my opinion, it's physical pleasure as well. But if you could have a relationship with God, which is Kedusha, which is something which has nothing to do with me. It's about the relationship that God has with the land. Am I going to tap into that? Kabbalists say, and the Orach Chaim says this, and the Sfas Emes says this, that when a Jew enters the land, the light, the Or HaGanuz, the holiness comes into the land because he came into the land. That the holiness of the land comes from the Jews inside. And we are now at the time where we're witnessing the land giving fruit to the Jewish people. Like Rashi said, there's no greater sign of Mashiach than the fruit of the land, that the land producing fruit for the Jewish people. So I ask you, is it time that we make a decision to revisit Eretz Yisrael, not thinking about, I did not discuss Zionism. That will be a separate topic. I did not discuss the Rambam, the question if it's a obligatory mitzvah or if it's a optional mitzvah or if it's even a mitzvah at all. In fact, I asked, it should never be a mitzvah. And I also did not discuss whether or not Mashiach can come with a blow of a horn. That's possible. I've avoided all those topics, and I simply talk about what is Eretz Yisrael today. And we've come up to recap that Eretz Yisrael, number one, the redemption has started. According to the most opinions of the Rishonim, the Ramban, possibly the Rambam, Rabbeinu Bechaya, Radak, and Chassam Sofer's understanding of the Rambam, and many others, all see Eretz Yisrael today as being prophecy that they've written almost 1,000 years ago will happen, that the Jews will come back and the land will accept them and start producing fruit. Had the land not produced fruit, the state of Israel will not be here. So we're at a point in time where Mashiach is halfway here. And yet, we're still asking the question, is it a responsibility? Do I really need to come? Well, if I were to tell you that the world was created so that the Jews could learn Torah in Eretz Yisrael, like Rabbi Finkel told the people at the Yarchei Kala, the people who came to learn, he said, you're so lucky that you could come for a few weeks out of your life. Everything you did outside was just practice, and now you're doing the real thing. So are we ready? I'm not sure. And it doesn't have to be an answer that we give right now, but we could start thinking about or rethinking Eretz Yisrael. I recommend every person read the book Eim Habanim Smecha by Rav Tachtel. This was written in 1943. We're going to have a separate video on this book. It's not going to be a book report, but I'm going to tell you things about the Jewish nation in the 1940s. I'll tell you one short story, and then we'll end this video, and hopefully we'll have many other videos on this topic. In 1943, Rabbi Tachtel was running. He was in Budapest. He was running from the Nazis. He was living for many months in an attic, watching his entire community, his entire town be shot and killed or brought into caravans and trucks and being shipped away to the death camps. And he hid there and he started writing this book. And he started to run, and he was in Budapest. And one Shabbat, he got to a town, and he decided, they asked him if he could speak. And then there was somebody in the town said, no, maybe he shouldn't speak. He finally got up and spoke the next week. And he had the whole town in tears when he spoke to them, and he told them that the Holocaust is happening because the Jews did not return to Eretz Yisrael. And this is in 1943, before the state was established. And they were all crying, and they all agreed that they're going to come to Eretz Yisrael. And the next day, Sunday morning, there was some news on the radio, he doesn't say what it was, that suddenly something happened, that some good news happened, that made it seem like the redemption is almost here. And they decided they're not going to say Tachanun, which is one of the prayers we don't say on festive days. And there was a euphoria in the entire synagogue. And he goes to the crowd of people who are so happy that they're not saying Tachanun, and he asks them, so now will you move to Eretz Yisrael? And they said to him, but our Rebbe said we can't come. Think about Rav Zera. And he didn't know what to say. Yesterday they were so ready to come, but the second the whole fear of the Nazis had left them, that they thought the war was over, he eventually was killed, but not by the Nazis, but by somebody on a train on the way to Auschwitz. He was killed. But the second the pressure was off their neck, in 1943, after witnessing millions of Jews being murdered. They were ready to go if they thought their life was over. But when he told them that, maybe you should go now, they said, but our Rebbe never said we should go. Rav Zera rethought all his Torah that he learned outside of Eretz Yisrael when he came to Eretz Yisrael. Yehoshua, the great Joshua, it says that he slowly conquered the kings when he was conquering the land, because he knew that as soon as he finishes conquering the land, he's going to die. And our sages tell us that Yeshua was lax in his conquering of the land, because he had personal things that he was going to lose, unlike Moshe, who fought Midian, even though he knew he's going to die right after. The spies, the Meraglim, who came into the land, who caused us this misery that we're in right now. All the Medrash says and the Zohar said were all Nesiim. They were the leaders of their tribes. And they knew if they came to the land, they would lose their position, their rabbinic position. And that's the reason, Shema'asu ba'aretz, that they were disgusted with the land. And they went to every house and made everybody cry and say, we don't want to go to Israel. We don't want to go to Eretz Yisrael. Let me ask you a question. Why didn't Hashem just make it a mitzvah? Tell them it's a mitzvah chiyuvis. You have to come to Eretz Yisrael. Why did he care that they're crying? Say, cry and come. Think about it. Thank you for watching. Shavua Tov. Chazak va'amatz. And if you want to hear more about this, leave messages in the comment. Thank you for watching. Shavua Tov.